What do they have? Where's the proof that they went to the moon? Did you see any proof? You see, there's no. They haven't given any proof. They'll say, "No, no, we went and this and that," but no. Uh, for example, Christopher Columbus. Let's talk about him for a minute, not more than a minute. He supposedly uh, discovered the North American, uh, continent, and he went back to you know the I think it was in Italy. He went back and he told people that there's a continent.
Hmm.
I went there and I saw it. Now, what did they do when Christopher Columbus, went back and said, "I saw it with my own eyes"? The people that he spoke that to, they started collecting money and building very strong boats that could go across the Atlantic to the east coast of what is called today the United States to see if it was true or not. And they found out that it was true. There was a whole continent they didn't know about. And right away, many, let's say, entrepreneurs, people who spend money to do research and to make money by uh, going to a new, let's say, place that nobody has gone to before. Of course, the Indians were living there. The native Indians were living for for so long. But for the Europeans, this was something new, and they built boats and they went one after another to the new worlds in their so-called consciousness, and they started making uh, what you would call discoveries of how to make money in this new planet, or this new, not planet, but this new place. And they did that. They were coming back to from the new world to France and uh, other European countries, coming back with things that they could sell and make money with. So they had something to show that there was actually a new world that no one really knew about in Europe. And they were bringing back the soils, or in other words, the things that they were finding, and they were making money also. Now, fast forward till today, or even uh, 60, 80 years ago, when there was, uh, you know, declaration that there is there's a moon, and people have been looking at the moon for from the beginning of time. But some people said that there was a moon landing, and uh, they started to claim that I mean, I was there. I saw the moon landing on television. A lot of people saw the moon landing television program, and uh, the I was sitting there watching the television, and there was a moon landing, right? I didn't know that it was a hoax. I thought it was a real thing. And this is like 60 years ago. Fast forward to today, they have nothing to show that they went to the moon. They just have six little rocks at the Smithsonian, uh, let's say, the Smithsonian uh, uh, place where you can see those six rocks. And they look exactly like rocks on the Earth. The whole thing is a hoax. And but people are afraid. See, when you make a lie, you have to make a really big lie. You shouldn't make any little lies, no one will believe you. But you make a really big lie that people are afraid to say it's a lie. Okay? So this is what happened. They spent all this money, $30 million or something like that, and saying that they went to the moon and they came back with six rocks. And you can go to the Smithsonian Institute now and you can see those six rocks. They look exactly like the rocks on the Earth. The whole thing is a hoax. But it's such a big lie that people are afraid to admit that it's a lie. That's why if you want, if you're going to lie, you have to make such a big lie that people are afraid to admit that it's a lie. And this is exactly what has happened, right? And then today they have written so many, books for children to read about moon landing and this thing and that thing to prove that they went to the moon. But there's no proof that they went to the moon. For example, Christopher Columbus, he so called discovered the New World. He landed somewhere like Florida. And but what did they do? What did he do? I mean, look up Christopher Columbus
Mm.
on your look up Christopher Columbus on your
Yeah.
yeah, and see what it says about his discovery of the New World. There was something to show. As soon as Columbus came back from his uh, journeys of discovery, he had something to show, and people in Italy and Europe started building boats so that they could go to the New World and exploit it. So they did that, and they started making colonies there, and uh, and killing the American Indians, and coming back from North America with gold and other things that they found in the New World, and and then also they discovered South America, and they basically destroyed the Inca, uh, you know, Inca, uh, um, the Incas and the other natives of South America, and they came back with the gold that they stole from the Inca culture and other cultures in South America, and also what's called today uh, Middle America, Middle America. They they had something to show for going all the way across the Atlantic, and they went back to Europe and showed that they had found gold. They had found uh, so many animals there that they killed, and they came back with let's say uh, the proof that they actually went to a new continent and found a lot of things that they could buy or sell, excuse me, that they could sell and make money with. What? have the so-called moon uh, people, the people are claiming that they went to the moon and they came back. What have they shown to prove that they did it? Nothing. Yeah, they claim it, but there's nothing to show for it. They didn't bring anything back. Yeah, they brought six rocks back. You can go to Smithsonian Institute and see the six rocks. They look exactly like the rocks in the United States. They don't have anything to show for it. And now I'm speaking now that I think they went like 60 years ago. They went to the moon, so called, but they have nothing to show for it. When Christopher Columbus uh, discovered the Americas, he came back with something tangible. And many other people started building boats and going to this new world, and they discovered a lot of things, and they became rich. And they also destroyed the Incas and other native people, and raped their women, and more or less destroyed their culture, and came back with a lot of gold. See? They had something to show for it. What have they anything to show for in this moon exploration? Nothing. Just a lot of hot air. When I watched the moon landing, the same thing that Prabhupada watched, right? Back, was it 1960 something? And uh, the there was a little, like a little uh, uh, like a couple lines of text in the moon landing pictures that they showed, saying that those pictures were not actually real. They were made in they were made on the Earth. Those pictures. Now, uh, if they did go to the moon, let's look at first the Christopher Columbus and what happened after he came back from the New World and told people about a new continent. Right away, people started spending big time money building boats to go to the New Worlds. And in the New World, they started discovering things that they could make money with. And they did make money, and they did, you know, find gold, and they found other things that they could sell. There is nothing to show by this moon exploration that is tangible. There are six stones in the Smithsonian Institute, but they look exactly like the stones on the Earth. Now, when I say this, people get all upset. They think, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. How can you say such a thing?" Now, why are people so fast to say what I'm saying uh, is the truth? Because it's such a big lie that people are afraid to admit that it's a lie. If you're going to lie, you have to make a big lie, something that is so big that you're afraid to admit that it's not true. But let's look at things practically. When in science you first of all have a theory, then you do experiments to see if your theory is valid. And when you have enough information to prove that your theory is real and has uh, consequences, such as, you know, if you do this and that, mix this and that, you can make money with it. That means that it's no longer a theory, that it's actually factual. And that's called science, right? Somebody has an idea, then they do some research, and eventually they find out that their idea has led to uh, in, finding out things that they can make money with, and then they become convinced that this is real, and people start seeing things coming out from all the research that has been done. When you come to the moon landing, there's nothing to show that proves that they went to the moon. There's nothing to show in a tangible way of things that they actually came back with, that they could make money with it. And I remember they were so proud of going to the moon, and they also said, well, in 3 or 4 years we'll have regular uh, Pan Am uh, trips to the moon. Pan Am, of course, went bankrupt, but it was a major airline, and there were people who were saying that we're going to sell plots of land on the moon, and you can buy them, and you'll be able to go there and live there. The whole thing was a hoax. None of that happened. Nobody went to the moon. No one purchased houses, although they advertised moon land for sale. So here we have a gigantic hoax, but it's such a big hoax that people are afraid to say it's a hoax because that would destroy their whole narrative. Now, a lot of people will argue that what I'm saying is nonsense. But you tell me what they have shown that's tangible from their moon landing. Now, Christopher Columbus, when he so called discovered the New World, he came back and people immediately started building boats to go to the New World. And they found the New World, and they found a lot of things that they could bring back to Europe and sell. And that was real. But the moon landing, what do they have to show that they actually went to the moon? Zero. There's nothing that proves that they actually landed on the moon, and there's no wealth that they suddenly have developed, like the people that went to the New World, the Americas. They discovered cultures there, the Inca culture and other cultures, and they destroyed those cultures and stole their gold and other wealth that they had, and brought it back to Europe. Nothing like that has happened with this moon landing. So anyway, uh, we don't have to dwell on this too much, but you have to understand that the moon landing is actually a hoax. It never actually happened. Okay, so now we are on text 24, right? Is that right? Yeah. Oh, completely peaceful Lord. Although material nature, fruitive activities, and their consequent material names and forms are your creation, you are unaffected by them. Therefore, your transcendental name is different from the material names, and your form is different from material forms. You assume a form resembling a material body just to give us instructions like those of Bhagavad Gita. But actually, you are the supreme original person. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Yamunacharya has recited this verse in his Shrotra Ratna 43. Bhavantam evan ucharan nirantara prasanta ni sesha manoratananas manoratanatara kadaham aikantikya nitya kinkara prahar saish yami sanata jivitam. By serving you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. Second, when shall I engage as your permanent eternal servant and always feel joyful to have such a fitting master? Oh, it's a wonderful statement. Manoratan sati, Dhahabato Bahi. One who acts on the mental platform must descend to material activities. Material contamination, however, is completely absent from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotee. Therefore, the Lord is addressed as Prasanta, completely peaceful. Second, completely peaceful, free from the disturbance of material existence. The Supreme Lord has no material name or form. Only the foolish think that the Lord's name and form are material. Avajanantimam mudha manasim tanam asritam. The identity of the Supreme Lord is that he is the original person. Nonetheless, those who have but poor fund of knowledge think that the Lord is formless. The Lord is formless in the material sense, but he has his transcendental form, Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. What is that? Vigraha means the form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Text 25. O my Lord, those whose hearts are bewildered by the influence of lust, greed, envy, and illusion are interested only in earth, false earth and home in this world created by your Maya. Attached to home, wife, and children, they wander in this material world perpetually. So, those whose hearts are bewildered by the influence of lust, greed, and envy, and illusion are interested only in false heart and home in this world created by your Maya. Attached to home, wife, and children, they wander in this material world perpetually. That is 100% true statement. But it's hard to accept it. We think that we are living in a state of reality. But actually, let's make one thing clear. Reality is something that's eternal. When something is not eternal, it's something that is uh, temporary and eventually disappears. So there's no tangible, let's say, uh, tangible reality in things that appear and disappear. Only things that are eternal are real. The other things have some existence for a period of time and then they disappear. So, which one should we spend our time with? Things that are present for a certain time and they disappear, or things that are immortal, that never disappear? So, what is the example? Well, let's say you have a lollipop and you suck the lollipop with your saliva, and eventually the lollipop goes away. Then you have to buy another lollipop. So the original lollipop that you ate or sucked on and swallowed it now is an illusion. It's not there anymore. So you have to buy another lollipop. Basically, that is an example of the reality today. There are so many things people spend their time on: buying clothing, buying cars, buying this, buying that. But all those things eventually end up in a junkyard. and and they don't, they exist, but in the junkyard. And eventually, the junkyard, everything in the junkyard will eventually go away also because it's no longer useful for the people. So here we have a dilemma. What is real? What is and what is real is what is eternal. What is not real? Well, things that are, uh, let's say, there, but and after time they're not there anymore. Right? So, for example, if you have a car and you're driving your car, that's real. But finally, you don't want that car anymore, and you get rid of it, and it ends up in a junkyard, and you buy another car. Now, the reality of the first car you bought is finished. It's in a junkyard. No one is using it anymore, and eventually it'll disappear. So, how real is that car that you bought previously and now is in a junkyard? And eventually it will be junk, meaning these big uh, types of uh, what do you call them? Uh, yeah, these big contraptions that uh, destroy junk, right? Uh, so they will destroy the junk, and now you have nothing. Now there's nothing. So the reality of that car has gone away. So we have to understand that the whole program of cars and all the things that we believe are tangible, but they're temporary. They're not eternal. Therefore, in one sense, they are they only have existence for a short period of time. and then they disappear. Is that something that we should spend our time with? Meaning things that will appear and after some time disappear. Or should we only spend our time and exploring our, uh, exploring our intelligence on that never die, that never are destroyed. They are eternal. Well, obviously, those things that are eternal are much more valuable than those things that you have for a short period of time and then they end up in a junkyard. So, this is very hard for people to understand. But if you look at things philosophically, why waste time with things that are temporary? Because they're going to eventually disappear and you end up with nothing. Why not deal with things that are eternal, that never will disappear? Okay, now what is an example of something that will never disappear? Krishna. He's the number one example. He will never disappear. He's eternal. Okay, is there anything else that's eternal? Well, uh, even the material nature is not eternal. But there are things that last a long, long time. Like uh, even today, you can go to a museum and you'll see a statue that was made, 500 years ago, or maybe even 5,000 years ago, right? Uh, but it's still not eternal. So yeah, we are in a situation of dealing with things that seem to be real, but as time goes by, they're not there anymore. They disappear, like a car, like a house, and like money, like so many things. We have it, we're using it, and eventually it's gone. Like a marriage, like so many things that we have for some time, and then it disappears. We don't see it again. And like our relatives. So you have to sit down and think about this deeply. What is actually real? Definitely not those things that are present for a certain period of time and then disappear. You cannot think that it is real in the sense that it's immortal. It's partially real, but it is not immortal. Are there any things that are immortal in this world? Yes, there are. Like, for example, one's relationship with Krishna. That is something immortal. Because Krishna is immortal, and a living entity is also immortal. But if the living entity is engaged in sense gratification, eventually uh, he is he or she will disappear. They'll still be, uh, let's say, uh, tangible, but they changed body, and the body that they had, it ends up in a junkyard, or it ends up in a uh, mausoleum or something like that, uh, and you don't really see it anymore. But the person is eternal. We all have an eternal soul, but we don't have eternal bodies. This is actually a hard thing to understand. We cannot, the reality is that the body is temporary, everybody's going to die, and their body is going to disappear. But it's hard for people to accept this. So they do many things to try and stop their body from disappearing. That's been going on since the beginning of time. It's still going on now. People are trying to find ways to make the temporary body immortal, and it doesn't work. So, is there something immortal? Yes, there is. There's the soul. That is immortal. But people are trying to find material things that will remain immortal. And it is like a futile uh, desire because nothing material is immortal. So these are hard. These are actually hard things to believe, but we experience it. Like for example, let's say you get married, and there's a marriage ceremony. Everybody's happy, and then you have some children, and then they grow up, and you get old, and they end up going to other places because they get jobs or this or that. So that whole process of uh, having children, the children grow up, they go away. Now the children are not there anymore, and you get old. You're not the same. Uh, you don't have the same vitality that you had when you before, and eventually you die, and you end up in a uh, either a crematorium or you end up in a what do you call it? Either you're uh, underground in a what do you call that? Anyway, you're underground, or your body was burned,
But
uh, and there are different ways, or like your body was caught in a fire and burned, whatever. So you see that uh, ultimately every material thing only has a temporary existence. This is so hard to understand,
mhm,
and and therefore everything around us are temporary things. Nothing that we have is immortal. It is tangible eternally. But we do have something that is tangible eternally. It's our soul. But people are not paying attention to the soul. They're paying all their attention is on the material body, which is subject to birth, old age, disease, and death. Therefore, there is misery in this world. There is confusion. There is uh, death. And because of that, people get confused. They get angry. They get frustrated. So here it says, Avajantimam Mudha Manasim Tanam Asrita. The identity of the Supreme Lord is that he is the original person. Nonetheless, those who have but a poor fund of knowledge think that the Lord is formless. The Lord is formless in the material sense, but he has his transcendental form, Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means immortal, Chit means knowledge, Ananda means bliss, and Vigraha means form. Okay, so right there, looks like two sentences But those two sentences have the real, let's say, truth about our existence in the material world. In two sentences, those who have but a poor fund of knowledge think that the Lord is formless. The Lord is formless in the material sense, but he has his transcendental form, Sat, Chit, Ananda, Vigraha, eternity, knowledge, and bliss in a form. Vigraha means a form. Okay, and that form is eternal. So this verse, Avajanti Mam Buddha Manasim Tanam Asrita, means that only the foolish think that the Lord's name and form are material. Avajanti Mam Buddha Manasim Tanam Asrita. The identity of the Supreme Lord is that he is the original person. Nonetheless, those who have but a poor fund of knowledge think that the Lord is formless. The Lord is formless in a material sense, but he has his transcendental form, Sat, Chit, Ananda, Vigraha. Vigraha means form. The form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Okay, so right there is a monumental truth. And you can write many books about these two or three sentences. But we have to meditate on these things and understand what is tangible, what is real, and what is false. So when it says Avajanantimam Muda Manasintam Asritam, only the foolish think that the Lord's name and form are material. So, uh, most people are atheists today. They don't always believe there is a God. There are people that believe in God,
Hmm.
but there are many more people that don't believe in God. Right? So, therefore, uh, those people who have a poor fund of knowledge think that the Lord is formless. The Lord is formless in the material sense, but he has his transcendental form, Sat, Chit, Ananda, Vigraha. His transcendental form is eternal, full of knowledge, full of bliss, and has a form that is immortal. Okay, so these, just in a few sentences, these few sentences give us the absolute truth of our existence in this material world. Therefore, in a few words, our whole life's purpose is explained. Now, are we willing to accept it? That's the question. That's why it says the identity of the Supreme Lord is that he is the original person. Nonetheless, those who have but a poor fund of knowledge think that the Lord is formless. Those are the Mayavadis. The Lord is formless in the material sense, but he has his transcendental form, Sat, which means eternity, Chit, which means knowledge, Ananda, which means bliss, and Vigraha means a form. He has a body that is full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. That is eternal. Okay, now, how do we prove this? Well, there are some things that you have to accept.
Hmm.
There are other things that have temporary existence and then they disappear, like the body. It has temporary existence. It's always changing. It goes from a baby to to an old age man, and then the old age man dies, and then his body is cremated, then he's not there anymore. He disappeared. There are families that when the father dies, they keep the father's body in the house. And eventually, it's sort of becomes part of the family still, right? Although, it goes through different stages of uh, deterioration. Right? So previously, uh, people would uh, keep the bodies and not destroy them. There are cultures that keep the body, uh, in, but they try and keep it from disintegrating completely. Right? So it'll last for a long time, but then eventually you cannot keep it anymore. It's decaying too much. So here, our takeaway for today is the following: those who are but poor, who who have but poor fund of knowledge, think that the Lord is formless. Well, who are the people that think that the Lord is formless? Mayavadis. Who are Mayavadis? Well, the word Mayavadi explains who they are. They believe in things that are illusory. Maya, which means illusion, but Mayavadi, Vadi means something that is illusory and is a poor fund of knowledge. Such people believe that the Lord is formless. And but Prabhupada says the Lord is formless in the material sense, but he has transcendental form, Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha, eternity, knowledge, and bliss in a form that never dies. Okay, now these are fundamental beliefs in Krishna consciousness. For other normal people, not normal people, but other people who are not really educated in Krishna consciousness, they don't believe this.
Mm.
So it's a dilemma. We're living in a time where there's confusion about what is the truth. And because of that confusion, we become confused ourselves. And we don't really know what is the truth, what is not the truth. Even our own kids, when they're little kids, they believe in God. After going to school and graduating, this and that, many of our own kids, they start losing their faith in God. Not all, but some. Right? If you just deal with the regular population, by the time kids go through 12 or more years of mundane knowledge in schools, they come out and they say, I don't believe in God. A lot. It happens to a lot of kids. They go to school in the beginning, they believe in God. After 12 or more years in the schools, hearing all kinds of theories, they end up saying, I don't believe in God.
Yeah.
So this is a problem. What is real? What is not real? This problem has been there from the beginning of time. And therefore, we have to very carefully understand. That's why Prabhupada, he helped us to understand what is real and what is not real. And then to only accept what is real and not be fooled by what is not real. Now, what is not real means things that exist for a certain time and then disappear. That is considered something that is not real. Things that are eternal, that is real. Okay, so let's just stop right there and think about this today. What is real, what is not real in our life? And then we should discuss this tomorrow because this is fundamental. It's very, very fundamental because we can end up being fooled and chase after things that are not real the rest of our life. And at the moment of death, realize, wait a minute, I have been fooled. I've wasted so much of my life with things that are not real,
Mm.
and now I have nothing. And now
Mm.
I'm going to die, and I didn't really learn anything. I went to school, I got a PhD, but I didn't learn anything. So anyway, let's think about this today and discuss it tomorrow. What is real? What is not real? Haribol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Maharaj, question.
Yes.
So, as you said, like there are many people who don't rely on the concept of soul. They feel that okay, this is the only life where we have to enjoy up to maximum extent because it was not scientifically proven about the afterlife soul migrating. So,
Yeah.
what do you? How can we contemplate on that? But
Well, this is the fundamental question that people are, uh, you know, thinking about. Is there life after death?
mm,
Right. Now, the Christians say yes, there is for some people, not for all, which is a false statement, but that's what they believe. And other people say, I don't believe in anything. And some people say, no, 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 no. There is life after death. But it's hard to believe
mm,
because let's say someone dies, we don't see them walking around after they die.
right.
So for them, for many people, that proves that there's nothing after death.
Mm-hmm.
You see how tricky this question is. What is real, what is not real.
Okay.
So we have to understand what is real and what is not real by the Shastras, not by our own speculations. Like, for example, many species have been claimed to become extinct.
Mm-hmm.
And then 20, 50 years later, they find that that species is still living somewhere else. Right? But for 50 years, they thought that species was extinct. There's a lot of things like that. Right? Just like I may think that I don't have any money in my pocket. Well, but then I change my clothing. Right, I take off this uh, pants and I put on some other pants. And then I put my hand in my pocket, and there's money in that pants.
Yeah.
So all the time I thought I didn't have that money, but now I realize I do have the money. So there's so many situations like that in life. We may think I have something, but if after some time we understand that no, I didn't have it from the beginning, right? And other things is that I don't have something, but actually I've had it all the time. Like sometimes you have these different pants, and you put some pants on that you haven't put on for a long time, and you discover there's $10 in the pocket, right? You forgot about it. You didn't think you had that $10. So there's a lot of situations in life where we believe we have something, or we believe that we don't have something, and we become either happy or confused by uh, what we like. For example, let's say you have a stock and you bought, let's say, $10,000 of this one stock, right? But the stock goes belly up, and now it's not worth a penny. But you insist that you still own that stock, and you insist that the dividends have to be paid on that stock. Well, that is all illusion, right? Yeah, we had a stock, but it went belly up. But we refuse to accept its belly up, and we're trying to force someone to believe that it's still there, it still has its value, and they want to transform that uh, value into money, right? And people know that, oh, this guy's going crazy, right? He says he still has the stock and it's worth so much money, and now he wants to go to the bank and get the money. There's situations like that. People have gone crazy, right? Just like uh, sometimes stocks tank, then the banks stop uh, giving money to those stocks that have tanked. But people who, let's say, a week before thought they had so much money, then they find out that everything tanked. But they still bang on the door of the bank. Let me in, let me in. I want my money back, you know. But, they lock the door. By the way, they lock the doors. They
Mm.
lock the doors until people understand there's no money
Mm-hmm.
because, the bank went bankrupt,
Bankrupt.
It happens a lot. The banks go bankrupt. They close the doors. They lock the doors. People trying to get in to get their money, they can't get their money. Finally, they realize that there's no money to get. Then they realized they were cheated. You see, we're living in a what we call a uh, we're living in a module that is false, but we believe it's real. But obviously, over time, we lose it. When I say a module, like this body,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
We think this body is real. How can we say it's real? Because it's changing all the time, right? And eventually it's going to disappear. But we have this belief that it's real. So these questions, these are philosophical questions that we have to deal with. When can something be considered to be real? Um, when we use something in the service of Krishna, that is real. But there's so many people that don't believe in God. They don't think it's real. We think it's real. They don't think it's real. So this is the dilemma, and this confuses, let's say, kids that are in school. They believe in God when they're 2 years old. By the time they're 12 years old, they don't believe in God anymore. Something that they believed in disappears, and they claim it doesn't exist.
Mm.
This is because of false knowledge. And what kids learn in these schools is actually false knowledge. It's not real knowledge. So this is a question we can talk about and try to understand what is real and what is not real. Hare
Thank you for.
Krishna.
Thank you.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, you know what happens when the bank goes belly up, locks the door, and then all these people are outside trying to get into the bank to get their money,
Mm.
right? People commit suicide. They'll go up on the 14th floor of a building and jump. It's happened a lot. Right? They believe that they have money, and it's their money, but the banks lock the doors and they don't give you your money back. It happens a lot, you know. And then you realize, whatever you have, it's only paper. It's not, if you have gold, all right, or silver, that is tangible. Even that is temporary, but it's more tangible than pieces of paper, you know. So as long as people are willing to uh, use pieces of paper and they can buy things with it, they'll continue, right? But those pieces of paper can become waste, can become, let's say, uh, lose their value, and then it's just paper again. Yeah, like in Germany after the war, people had to take a wheelbarrow full of German money
Mm-hmm.
to buy just a loaf of bread. That they had, a big wheelbarrow that they had to go like that just to buy one loaf of bread. All that money had lost its value. You see how temporary and illusory money is. Yeah, we should think about this. We should talk about this. Someone has a stock, and the stock goes, you know, belly down, belly up. Then he has nothing, right? So, people kill themselves when things like that happen. They jump out of windows and kill themselves. That's what happened when there was the 1926, 27 in the United States. People were jumping out of windows and killing themselves because the stock market crashed. Okay, well, Hare Krishna. What is real and what is not real? That is something we have to learn. And if we can't understand it, we'll end up believing in things that are not real. And because of that, at a certain time, as we're going along in our life, we'll realize I was fooled. I believed something that was not real. And now I have nothing. And for some people, that's enough for them to commit suicide. Just like, I'll give you an example that's happening every day now in the United States and other places. Someone has a wife, right? Then the husband finds out his wife is having sex with someone else. And he has kids also. So he gets really angry and he kills the kids and then kills himself. Now, why did he do that? Why did he kill the kid? Why didn't he kill his wife? See, there's different things. Sometimes they kill the wife,
Mm.
then they kill
Mm.
themselves, and the kids. But sometimes they kill the kids and then they kill themselves. You know? So why do people do things like that? It's because of sense gratification. They got sense gratification for a certain period of time. And then that period ended. And then all these strange things happen, like they commit suicide, or they kill their children, or they kill their wife, or they kill their wife and children, and then they kill themselves. All these things are happening, and it's all illusory. Why? Because they all believe that if they kill themselves, there's nothing after that. And it's not true. There's a lot after that. There's a lot after that. See, but they believe that by killing themselves, there's nothing after that. They don't have to pay any money that they owe people. They don't have to worry about this or that. There's nothing. They ended their existence. But it's not true. That's a false belief. You see how people, I would tell you, I think at least maybe 98% of the population believes that when you die, that's it, it's finished. There's nothing else after that.
Mm.
That's not true. So you see how we're living in a very, very dangerous time where people are believing in things that are not true at all. And eventually it comes to a point where they realize they were fooled, but it's too late. Just like I got $10,000 in the bank. The bank goes bankrupt. They go to the bank to get the money. The doors are locked. And you say, I want my money. And they said, no, doors are locked and the bank is closed and there's no money. This happens, it happens a lot, and, it makes people crazy and then they commit suicide. Haribo. Okay, so let's think about this a little bit. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. What is real and what is not real?
It's a very big question.
Big question. Big question.
Maharaj, one question.
Yeah.
Even though we know these bodies, our relative that you were explaining, they disappear eventually, their bodies. But how to practice that in our day-to-day life, that they are not the body, they are soul, so that we will not end up becoming like fool when they disappear, the body will disappear. How to practice that in day-to-day, even though we know it, but how to put
Well,
it
no,
into
you go
practice?
to a not a crematorium, but a place where they bury people, cemetery.
Cemetery. Mm.
And you walk around and you look at the names of all the people. They were born this day,
Right.
they died that day, right?
Mm.
And they have, some people have a mausoleum, it costs like $10 million to have that. And it's like you go in New York City, they have very, very expensive, what do you call those? Expensive,
Monuments.
yeah, very expensive, millions of dollars, because the very, very rich people die and they built like a very expensive house, right? And it's big enough to have not only one person, but have like 10 or 20 members of their family, right? And it costs a huge amount of money, especially in New York City.
Mm.
So, uh, but when you go to the mausoleum and you can go inside, I mean, if you're a member of the family, you can go inside. But what do you see? You don't see the person, but you don't even see the dead body. You see it, it's covered in some way. And then you also see that there's one stall for you, but you haven't died yet. But your name is there. And so some people don't want to see those things. But your name is there and your stall is there and you paid for it ahead of time. It could be like 10, 15, 20, or $100,000, right? Uh, your name is there, but you haven't died yet. So these things, I mean, it scares people. It actually
Mm.
scares people, Yeah. But when you think about these things, you realize we're living in a world of what you would call uh, a world of foolishness. And, if someone pays $10,000 for a stall in the cream in the not the crematorium, but in the cemetery, but it's not only it's a waste of time and money, but it is something that is illusory. You're never going to see that person that died again. I mean, you would have to, dig them out of the ground. Of course, the people wouldn't let you do that. And you, but you can go there and you can look at the what do you call it, the graveyard, and then you walk around, and so many other people are dead, right? And you look at when they were born, when did they die. Sometimes they have the pictures of the person, and you suddenly realize now. And you keep walking, and then you see your picture and your name, but you haven't died yet. But your family already bought that plot, right? So it's like people really, they get scared when they see things like that, right? Because they know that they're going to end up in that hole, you know. So that's why in India, they cremate bodies because that way you're not attached to the body when it's cremated.
Mm.
Uh, that's a good thing. Just imagine if you have a body in a $10,000, let's say, $10,000 grave, right? Uh, you people are coming to see, your grave, right? And it's the whole thing is actually stressful, very, very stressful. And there are ghosts also. There are ghosts. They actually exist. So the best thing is cremation. That way there's no ghost. There, no, even if you're cremated, there's still ghosts, right? But it's harder to see them because the body has been burned. Anyway, it's a lot of things that we don't know that actually exist. And, uh, like, for example, I had a friend of mine. He calls me up. I haven't seen him for 40 years.
Mm.
And he's like a distant cousin. And he calls me up out of the blue and he says, Harry, I need your help. I said, what? I said, I haven't spoken to you in 40 years. He said, no, 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 I need your help. I said, well, what do you want? He said, well, uh, there's this girl I got mixed up with, and finally I dumped her, and she committed suicide. And now I see her.
Mm.
I see her here, I see her there. It's driving me crazy. I said, well, why'd you call me then? He said, well, I know that you're the only person that can help me. How do you know that? I asked him, how do you know that? First of all, I haven't seen him for 40 years, right? And now he comes and he says, you're the only person that can help me. So I said, well, how do you know I can help you? I mean, what is your help? What help you want? He said, I want you to chase that lady away. This is true. This is true. I said, well, how do you know I can chase her away? And he said, no, no, I know who you are. You're the only person that can do it. So I said, okay, look, that lady you dumped her, and she got so frustrated that she committed suicide. Is that right? He said, yeah. So she loved you, she sacrificed for you, whatever, this, that. Then you dumped her. And then she got so upset she committed suicide. And now she's a ghost and she's haunting you. Is that what it is? He said, yes. I said, you have to, first of all, believe there's God. This guy's an atheist, big time atheist, right? He said, I don't believe in God. I said, okay, well then let's, you have to go somewhere else. There's nothing I can do for you. He said, no, okay. All right. Uh, Tell me what to do. I said, well, you're going to have to go and buy some milk and other things that are pure. He said, like what? I said, well, there's milk and there's fresh vegetables and things like that. And then you cook the vegetables and then you have the milk. And then you have to build a little altar with a picture of Krishna. He said, I don't believe in that. I said, okay, well, then, the advice is finished right there. He said, no. Okay, what do I have to do? I said, well, you have to get this picture of Krishna, and then you have to make an offering, you cook it, all vegetarian food, and you offer it with these prayers. I give them a little prayer book. You have to say these prayers 3 times or 10 times, whatever. And you have to wait for the offering. You have to give the person a time to eat. He said, but the person's dead. I said, no, nobody is dead. He said, okay. So he followed. I mean, here's a person who's been an atheist his whole life, but he's so spooked because this girlfriend he dumped her. She committed suicide, and now she has come back as a ghost. And every day he sees her, and it's making him go crazy. So he calls me after 40 years, right? He never was talking to me. And he says, you're the only person I know that can help me. I said, well, how do you know that? He said, no, I know who you are. You're the person that can help me. So then I told him, you have to get some milk, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to make a little altar, you have to have a picture of Krishna and so forth. He did all that. And then he made these offerings. And after about 2 or 3 months, the ghost went away.
Very good.
Making the offerings and then offering it to the ghost and then eating it himself. And then he called me up and said, Harry, it worked.
Mm.
I said, oh, I'm happy. I said, well, do you want to come to the temple? Or, maybe, she said, no, I don't believe in God. After all that, he tells me, I don't believe in God. And he's never talked to me again. He's my cousin. He stopped talking to me. Oh my God.
So only he was believing in God during the problem, and then
He
went back.
didn't really believe in God, but he did,
What you said.
he got something to try and, pretend that he believed in God.
Mm.
He's my cousin. He's a very close cousin of mine. But then when the ghost went away, he stopped talking to me. I haven't talked to him now in about 12 years or something like that, right? And then when he called me, I hadn't spoken to him for 30 years. Out of the blue, he called me up. And I said, well, why'd you call me? He said, because you're the only person I know who can help me. Well, I said, why don't you go to somebody else? He said, no. Oh, everybody else is nonsense. You're the only one. So I helped him. And because I told him to make offerings. And then after they make the offering to Krishna, then you offer it to the lady that's dead, right? and then you eat the prasadam. And she went away. The ghost went away because she got prasadam. And then he dumped me. He hasn't spoken to me since then. I think it's like 10 years now. Oh my God. There's so many strange things in this world.
But this example shows how much like prasadam has a power. It can solve
Oh, yeah.
so many problems.
Yeah, definitely. You can get rid of ghosts. Okay, well, glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Devotees. Unless there's some questions. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Devi.
Yes. Yes, Maharaj, from your lecture today, and it's very true. Materialistic people or people who are in distress approach God when they need something. Like the example of your friend trying to get rid of a ghost, so he approached you. Once the problem is solved, they run away.
Yeah.
I see that as a reality of everyday life for some people. Would you comment on that, if possible? Thanks.
You just gave the comment.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, people want everything the way they want it to be, not the way Krishna wants it to be. So that's being very selfish and not being serious about life. So their immediate problem may go away, but the problem is still there. So basically, they have no faith at all in God. But for a small period of time, they might believe they're in God in order to get a benefit. And then they dump God. Yeah. It's very sad, very, very sad. What can you do? After his problem went away, the ghost let him alone. I said we would come to the temple, and I said, no, I don't believe in God. And he hasn't talked to me since then. After 20, 30 years, he calls me. He asks me to help him. I help him. And then that's it. He doesn't talk to me anymore. Very strange people in this world. Very, very strange. Not everyone is like that. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Glories to Prabhupada.
Prabhupada ki jai.